Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to Anime King 2 and yeah, I'm back with something new for you guys to enjoy. What if Naruto found the Death Note? Yes guys, a Naruto that has been mistreated, pushed to the brink of rage, finds the Death Note. He is gonna be even worse than Light Yagami himself. People will speak his name with fear as he become a killer to surpass all killer throughout the ages. Yes, this will be taking place in the Naruto universe. Everything will be normal, it's just that Naruto's gonna have the Death Note. And the way he's gonna use it, people will see him as a god itself. So yeah, sit back, relax, don't forget to go ahead and support the original. Link will be down in the description guys, and also, don't forget to turn on the bell notification see when I post, because I do post a hell of a lot. And I do have 4 channels, link will be down there as well guys for all of them. So yeah, without further ado, what do you say we jump right into this? Begin now guys. Light Yagami was currently in his room. His room was dark. As he slowly got to his feet, "I've been waiting for you, Ryuk," he said, as he turned towards the appearance of the shinigami that hovered in his room. "Oh, it seems you're an interesting one," Ryuk said. Light sat down as he gazed towards the Death Note that was on his study table. Shifting his demonic pupils towards the notebook, Ryu's eyes widened as he saw numerous names written already on the pages. "It looks like you've wasted no time to get accustomed with my Death Note," he spoke, not taking his eyes off the book. "I can't afford to waste time. If I have to spread the sense of proper justice across the world, then every single second is precious. With me having to attend school, my prep classes along with my study sessions for my upcoming exams. Between sleep, this is the only time I get," Light answered, a serious look on his face. Ryuk simply watched him as he went in deep thoughts. He has yet to fully utilize the full efforts of my Death Note. But he seemed to be taking this a lot seriously. Those eyes represent a cause and ambition. However, they are not as bright as his. They seem dark, fully focused on his goal, and prepared to take out anyone that opposes him. This human is interesting. However, I can never forget him. Those were the days when I was fresh out of the dust, a new shinigami with a brand new Death Note. Even after all these years, I can't forget that kid. I still can't believe that he ended up in heaven, despite using the Death Note. Well, he was beyond special. A true genius if there was one. No one could ever surpass him, Ryuk thought. Time rewind, almost 2 millennia ago. "Kill this bastard. Yeah, kill him. Let him pay for what he did to my wife and child. Demon spawn." A group of villagers were harassing a young boy as the full moon shined over the dark alley. The sounds of beating could be heard in the vacant street. Entering the alley, you would find the disgusting sight of several middle-aged civilians ganging up on a bloody, beaten boy who was curled up in a fetal position. "Hey, what's happening? Are you giving up already, you monster?" A panting male growled out as he and the others stomped down hard. However, there was no whimper, no cry of pain from the boy. All he did was beat down hard and not say a word. His eyes were closed, his body was covered in blood. The frequency of leg stomps started to decrease as the man started to get tired. "Shit, I'm tired," one of them said, as the others seemed to be at their limits, till eventually they turn and leave. "It's a pity that we can't kill this demon. Hokage-sama is surely making your life miserable, brat." Why don't you just beg for him to end your torture? One of them spoke as the others chuckled. Hey now, don't say that. Who knows, he might just do that. And who would then take his place? I actually enjoy the occasional workout. Now let's get out of here. I need a drink. As they retreated into the darkness of the alley, chatting like this was a normal thing. Back to the bloody body. A finger twitch caused him to feel pain all over, as he remained where he was. Left leg broken, elbow bent the other way, jawline fractured, spine feel broken too I guess, muscle tearing, and some bruising. Okay, a lot of bruising. Damn it. I'm losing consciousness. Too much blood loss. Should be up in a couple of hours though. Good night, Konoha, the voice said, as the child drifted off, unable to remain conscious. Time skip. Several hours later, 2 a.m. A groan could be heard, as the blonde boy opened his eyes, licking his lips, as he tasted the taste of iron. Memories of what transpired before he lost consciousness flood his mind, as he sighed. The assholes managed to get me this time, just when I was returning back from training and exhausted. He thought angrily before he pulled himself up. I need water, he thought, as he flexed his muscles. His injuries had fully healed up. As he started to walk tiredly, showing his face that had whisker marks on both sides, 3 on one side. He then noticed something lying on the ground. As he bent down to pick it up, it's just an ID that bastard dropped here, he thought, as he looked at it before he threw it away. Off to my apartment, I guess. Ichiraku would not be open yet. I don't even know what time it is, as he went slowly through the dark alleyways. His destination, his apartment. He was about to say something until, thud, something knocked right on his head and fell down to the ground. For the love of Kami, please don't tell me that. This is bird crap, he thought to himself. As he looked up to the sky, he then ran his hand through his bloody hair to find nothing. As he looked around, when he noticed something on the ground, it was a notebook. Now what is this? A notebook that has the ID of all my attackers, he thought sarcastically, as he bent down and picked up the notebook. Seems like it's brand new. Why would someone drop this? There is no paper bombs in here. It's just completely empty. As he flipped through the pages, before he snapped it shut with a sweat drop. I would have been dead if there was paper bombs attached to this. I should really be cautious, he thought to himself, as he turned the book over. The death note, huh? A dry chuckle escaped his lips as he opened it to look at the first page. He raised the eyebrow when he noticed that there was a black cardboard page there, with white ink writing something on it. Rules, the top said. What kind of rules? Naruto wondered to himself, as he wondered what kind of book is this anyway. He started to read as he was still walking towards his apartment. Let's see here. The human name that is written in this notebook shall die. The note will not take effect unless the writer has the person face in mind when writing his or her name. Therefore, people sharing the same name will not be affected. Naruto sighed as he glanced up towards the heavens. Come on, really? You expect me to believe this? Is this some game or something, he asked, talking to himself, as he lowered his head back down towards the book. As he started to read from where he left off. If the cause of death is written within 40 seconds of writing the person name, it will happen. If the cause of death is not specified, the person will simply die of a heart attack. After writing the cause of death, details should be written in the next 6 minutes and 40 seconds. As Naruto found this rather amusing. It's not bad for a prank, I guess. Should be enough to scare civilians away. He turned over to the last page. There was another black card there, with other rules. I'll read the rest when I get home, Naruto thought as he stuffed it away. And half an hour later, Naruto's apartment. Naruto stood under the shower as the water cleaned all the dry blood off him, as he scrubbed himself clean. Sighing to himself once he was done, he came out as he dried himself off. I am not feeling like sleeping right now. Let's see this thing, he thought to himself, as he opened up to the last page to see the final rules. The user shall use any medium, light blood, or cosmetic to write, as long as the writing is illegible and distinguished and recognizable by the notebook. A person's death can be cancelled if the page on which the name has been written has been either completely destroyed or the medium that is used to write the name has been completely erased from the page in the span of 40 seconds or 6 minutes and 40 seconds after the name or the cause of death has been written. The death note in the beginning function within a circular area of 1.6 mile radius, with the death note being in the center. Therefore, the person name that is written has to be in that circular area. If the person is outside of the functional area, he or she will remain unaffected. The death note will be useless in case of a living being if they don't have a name. Naruto closed the book as he placed it down on the table, as he looked towards it with suspicion in his eyes. Okay, stay calm. This is ridiculous. I mean, this can't be real, right? He thought to himself. Such a thing was impossible, even in the world of a shinobi. There was no mention of chakra or the user having to use hand signs, so this did not seem related to any shinobi techniques. Deep in thought, he shifted his gaze towards the window, as he heard some voices on the street. Must be the locals. This is the red light district after all. As he came to a decision, as he got an ink pot and a brush to write. I don't know why I'm doing this, but let's just finish this so I can get some sleep. No way this is real, he thought to himself, as he dipped the brush inside the ink pot. So, let's see. I'm going to test this on myself, he said. After all, it's not like I'm gonna really die. Alright, Naruto Uzumaki, as he placed down the brush. Alright, let's see now. As he started to count the seconds, looking toward his small clock. The more seconds passed, the more his heart started to increase, as fear started to set in, a voice in his head speaking up. What if you really die? Are you willing to take the risk? Sweat started to run down his face, as he looked at the clock, as he started to gulp. 32. 33. Shit. I don't want to die, Naruto yelled. As he got to his feet, before grabbing the page as he tore it out, as he rushed to the sink as fast as possible. As he turned on the tap and placed the page underneath, the ink was still wet as it was washed off, and the page dissolved as well. As Naruto glanced over to see, his alarm clock passed 41, breathing a sigh of relief. Even if the probability of this failing is 99.9%, I can't afford to risk it, he thought to himself. If by any chance this thing is real, then I just got safe because I erased my name within the 40-second time span of writing my name. I need to test this on someone else. That is when he heard a feminine scream as he moved towards the window. As Naruto saw something that made his blood boil. A bald man was forcing himself on a woman as she screamed for help. This was the red light district. No one would help her even if they were awakened by her cries. They would not intervene. As Naruto noticed a guy's face under the street lamp pole. I think I've seen that face before. Naruto's eyes widened as he rushed towards his bedroom. As Naruto went inside quickly and went underneath his bed as he pulled out a box. There was a bundle of newspapers inside, and it read up at the top, Konoha Daily. As Naruto started to rummage through the bundle, frantically. As he flipped through the pages looking for the name that he was looking for. Here it is, said Naruto. There was a photo. Hoshi Takahashi, an ex-jonin wanted for several crimes of rape, theft, murder. He's the one, Naruto thought. Standing up, newspaper still in his hand, Naruto rushed back toward his coffee table. No better time than now, said Naruto, as he wrote the name, keeping his eyes on the man's photo. As Naruto moved back towards the window, as the old man was slapping the woman for not cooperating. However, she seemed to be a prostitute, judging by her clothing. As Naruto shifted his gaze back toward his clock, as Naruto clenched his fists, as he saw the sight down there, as he started to look back over towards the clock. 4, 3, 2, 1. Damn it, I knew it. It's fake, said Naruto as nothing happened. As he was about to move, the man come to a sudden stop, followed by a cry of pain as the man clutched onto his chest tightly. What the? Said Naruto. As the man was panting, stepping back away from the woman. The woman, who was still shocked in fear, her cheeks red, got up and ran away. Naruto, on the other hand, simply watched. He was shocked. As the man reached, looking for anything to hold on to, but his body loose and slipped as he collapsed face first. Naruto couldn't believe it. It worked? He thought to himself in shock. Naruto jumped over the railing as he jumped downwards and landed right beside the man, placing 2 fingers on his neck. Naruto stepped back. He's dead. As he could not believe it. Get a hold of yourself, Naruto. Let's calm down and think this over. He mentally calmed himself down. As he quickly jumped up the wall, climbing upwards, Naruto jumped back to his balcony and went back inside. I can't believe it. I could have killed myself a few minutes ago, Naruto said with a pale face as he sat on his couch, cross-legged. So the death note is real. There is no way the death of that person down there could be a coincidence. I should get some sleep. I have to attend the academy tomorrow, he thought to himself, as he headed to his bedroom. Several minutes later, it's no use. I can't sleep. I'm too anxious, Naruto thought to himself. As he was on the ground, several newspaper articles were in front of him. The death note was in his hand, as he was reading the rules over again. Details of the death should be written in the next 6 minutes and 40 seconds after the cause of death is written down. As Naruto leaned back, I wonder how far I can go with these details. Death details like jumping off the Hokage monument, stabbing yourself in the heart with a kunai. Those are pretty straightforward. But I do wonder if someone in a jail can kill themselves with a kunai if there is no kunai there. And this circular area of 1.6 miles of a radius is interesting as well. That almost covers the entirety of Konoha. The only way to truly find out everything is, as Naruto focused on the newspapers in front of him. The newspaper was a source of all the amount of criminals who are locked up or those who are roaming free. Konoha was a big place after all. The ones that are locked up are in Konoha's special ninja felony prison. Should I use the death note, Naruto thought to himself. Images of him being attacked, beaten, all flashed into his mind as his anger flared. Why not? Why should I be the only one to suffer, he said. The women being raped and others being murdered, their families and relatives killed. They need justice as well. So do I. I need justice for all the shit I went through, Naruto thought, as he tightened his grip on the brush in his hand. Glares and insults are something that doesn't affect me but those that attack me, who hurt me. They deserve to suffer, Naruto thought. They call me a demon, fine. I've been given the power to show them what a true demon is. As a dark look appeared in Naruto's eyes. Time skip a few hours later. Naruto's apartment, 7 a.m. As Naruto rubbed his eyes tiredly. I think all these deaths will prove my theory, he thought. The room was dimly lit as sun rays started to pry through the window. He walked towards the window and saw crowds filling the early morning of the red light district. All night his mind had been filled with a lot of information as he went through, plotting, creating new scenarios and trying many things to see what was the limits of the rules. Since the deaths would occur today, I will have to wait till tomorrow morning to find out about their death on the newspapers. Today's newspaper is useless now, I guess, Naruto thought. As Naruto looked towards the window before rubbing his eyes. No academy today then, he thought, as a yawn escaped his lips as he went to bed. Time skip. 9 p.m. Naruto's apartment. After waking up around 4, Naruto showered, eat a bowl of ramen at Ichiraku Ramen. He then came back to his apartment. As he didn't really have anything to do, Something had flashed in his mind though, the memory of the ID that he found yesterday. After that brutal attack, he found the ID of one of the guys that attacked him. Naruto stalked out of his apartment as he made his way, arriving as he found the ID. As Naruto held the ID in his hand, the death note on the table, as Naruto frowned. The photo is blurry. The card looked old and a bit torn up as well. I don't really remember his face, seeing that we were in the dark back then. As Naruto read the details, the name, address, and other things. Hitsuki Agashi. So this bastard is a construction worker, huh? Naruto thought to himself. As Naruto wrote his name down. Tomorrow I'll go and check this address. If something happened to this guy, Naruto thought. As he went to sleep that night. Time skip the following morning. 8 AM. Come on, Naruto thought to himself as he paced in front of his door. Why does the asshole has to be late today of all days? Finally, the newspaper was pushed under his door. Not that you could read or do anything with this, you demon. As Naruto ignored the curse behind the door, as he picked up the paper and rushed towards his bedroom. Okay, he breathed in deeply and exhaled. He then opened up the paper. And he was not surprised by the headlines. Mini epidemic, heart attacks, strike Konoha criminals. As the article was on the front page, as it was a face of the victims that had fallen. Time skip, several minutes later. After reading the full article, the cause of death, the approximate time of death, the vicinity of where they died, it was surprising that they got this, seeing that this old era was covered by the Konoha military police force, which is now run by the clanless shinobis, jonins and chonins. After the Uchiha clan was wiped out some time ago, the spot was vacant, so the jonins and the chonins had taken up the spot as they were now Konoha police force, no longer the Uchiha police force. As Naruto looked towards the victim that he described should kill himself with a kunai to the heart, however there was no kunais in the prison cell. The article said that he died of a heart attack with no physical wound. Another one in jail was supposed to jump off the Hokage monument, which was impossible, so he died of a heart attack. If the conclusion for death is impossible, the person will die by a heart attack, it seems. In the time between, he was showing normal behavior until it suddenly happened. Thus, the time of a victim's death can also be controlled, even if I don't specify the detail when writing their death. And the time between when I write the name and they die, he or she will behave normally. Naruto glanced towards the other one. He had tore a page out of the death note and wrote this individual name on it. That meant, even if the page was separated from the death note, they can still die. Now that's interesting, he thought to himself. Now one thing left to do. That guy ID that he found last night. He had to see if he died. His face was blurred out and Naruto couldn't remember it correctly, so he wanted to see what happened to him. Time skip. 12 PM, Konoha Academy. Okay class, it's break time, Aruka said. Standing beside him was Mizuki, as the children start to leave the classroom. Sometime later, Naruto sat on a bench alone, as he could notice Mizuki giving him glares. I think he's the only ninja in the Konoha military force that shows such open dislike to me, Naruto thought to himself. Yo, Naruto, up for a game of shogi? Naruto turned, as a grin came on his face. Back to my poker face, Naruto thought to himself, acting as he usually did. Sure, Shika, he said, turning to face Shikamaru Nara. As Naruto played with him, he realized that acting goofy would help tremendously in the future. No one would suspect that he was behind these attacks. How could they? Moments later, in the beginning I thought it was dumb luck. But again and again, you still keep on beating me. And I can't fathom how you keep on doing this, Shikamaru said, as he was losing to the blonde. Well, I told you I would beat you, said Naruto. But you won't tell this to anyone, like usual, right? As Shikamaru simply nodded. He knew that Naruto was not all that he pretended to be. Shikamaru himself had wasted majority of his time in class, even though he could score hundreds on the tests. However, he was just lazy, and he could tell that Naruto had potential that he never showed for some reason. Time skip. 3 p.m. outside the academy. As Naruto left the academy as children were making their way, Naruto reached into his pocket as he pulled out the ID. Time to get to his house. Time skip. Several minutes later. The door is locked. He could be at work, Naruto thought to himself. Naruto was under a transformation as he stood in front of the guy's house. Many thought that his shinobi skills were horrible, but they were not as bad as Naruto liked people to believe. He was transformed into a construction worker. I should probably check with the neighbors. As Naruto walked over to the house and knocked, as a woman came by, a middle-aged woman. "Hello, ma'am," said Naruto, in his transformed state. "I'm a co-worker of Akadishi. He didn't come to work today, so I came here and his door is locked. Could you possibly tell me his whereabouts?" Naruto asks. "Oh, I'm extremely sorry, but he had a heart attack the previous night." As Naruto placed a shocked look on his face, acting like he was concerned. So the death note did kill him, Naruto thought. Even when I don't know the correct look of his face. "What? But how could this happen?" said Naruto, acting all shocked. "Yes, it happened so suddenly. He is a perfectly healthy, kind young man," she said sadly. "Kind my ass," said Naruto. He then paused as he heard what she said. "He is. Excuse me. What do you mean by is? Is he alive?" Naruto asked her, with hope in his voice, as he had to pretend like he was the co-worker. She raised her hand. "Oh, no, no, no." "Yes, the bastard is dead," Naruto thought. Until she spoke again. "What I meant to say, I never imply that he was dead. It's just that he was admitted into the hospital last night, and now his condition is stable. See, you don't have to be so down about it. The medic said that he will recover in no time," the woman said with a kind smile. "What? How is he not dead? Did the death note fail?" "No, it worked. But because of his blurry face, and me not knowing exactly what his face looked like, it just gave him a heart attack, something that he could recover from." "Shit," Naruto thought. "Thank Kami," he said. "You scared me there." "Alright, I'm gonna go and check up on him," he said. "Thank you for your help. I'm glad I could help. I really hope he get better soon," she said. As he left, minutes later, Konoha Hospital. Naruto, who was still under his transformation, stood in front of the hospital. He'd visited this place multiple times, and there was a large amount of security in there, and the medics could probably see through his transformation. He could not allow it. As his eyes trailed towards two nurses, they were talking with one another, as he recognized one of them. "I remember her. She was the one who stabbed me last year, when I was taken here after my injuries, when I was beaten by those drunk, crazy assholes," Naruto thought. Bitterly, anger resonating in his tone, until his face quirked up into a smile. As Naruto started to walk, until he made a U-turn, moving away from them. But he already got what he wanted, what she looked like, and her name tag was on her shirt. With that, Naruto made his way home. Next time, I'll have to keep some pages with me, Naruto thought to himself. 15 minutes later, she was still there, talking to her colleague. As Naruto was there, this time transformed as someone else, as he wrote. He waited, as he simply relaxed, pretending like he was just looking around. 3, 2, 1. Naruto smirked. "Mitsuri-chan?" Her colleague said. "Is something wrong?" The nurse ignored her friend as she started to walk towards the entrance of the hospital. As Naruto whistled as he started to walk towards the hospital, turning as he went towards the backyard of the hospital. He leaned against the wall as he glanced upwards, looking at a dozen windows that gave the patients a wonderful sight of the village of Konoha. Looking to make sure that no one was there, Naruto took off as he went up the tree, jumping and climbing upwards. Once he was on a thick, heavy branch, he dispelled the transformation and watched. Suddenly, something was thrown through the window. Naruto jumped upwards as he caught the file. It was a medical file of the man that survived the heart attack. Naruto had written down specific information for the nurse on what she should do before. Naruto watched as she collapsed on the ground by the bed, and she died. He opened the file and memorized the guy's face. A smirk came to his before he dashed off, making sure that no one saw him. It was a good thing that he knew the layout of the hospital, which made things much more easier. As Naruto made his way towards the apartment, he wondered, how did she act? He presumed that she knew where the file was kept. If she did not know where it was, she would have died because when they were under his control, they could not do something that they did not know. But he wondered, how did she act, making her way towards the file room? Did she act like a zombie, someone possessed, or did she act normal? There were still so many unasked questions, Naruto thought to himself. However, for now, he had something else to focus on. Several minutes later, Naruto apartment. It feels great. For once in my life, everything seems achievable, Naruto thought to himself. At first, I thought this thing was a curse, but I then come to realize that it's not a curse. It's a gift from the heavens itself. This is the first usable gift in my life. No offense to Gigi though. The wristwatch came in useful today, Naruto thought as he looked at the watch that was given to him by his Gigi. However, this was his most precious thing right now. Something that will help him justify and right the wrongs that were done. I do feel a bit guilty of killing them, but screw them, they deserved it all. After what they did to me, after what those criminals did, they don't deserve jail. They deserve to die, Naruto thought to himself. Too much people has been getting away with crimes for too long. For as long as I've known since, I could literally walk and talk. They've hunted me. They've tried to kill me. Screw what Gigi says. I'm not going to be a goddamn scapegoat for this village. I'm gonna make them suffer. I'm gonna make them pay. All of them, Naruto thought. As he took a deep breath. Alright, calm down, he told himself. He was getting a bit agitated. He had to plan his next move. The people that you were killing were petty criminals. What about the really dangerous ones? Locked away. Even the ones locked in torture departments could not be ignored. They were truly violent. All of them deserved to die. But how would he get the information on... A smirk came on Naruto's face. Of course, Gigi. The Hokage. Of course he would have all the information. Everything that he would need. Naruto thought with a dark chuckle to himself. The only thing I know to make is a storage scroll. I'm not that good at sealing. And I have no doubt in my mind that the Hokage would keep those files locked away to make sure that they're protected. He wouldn't just leave them out in the open. And I can't really go in there without him being there and just start to search. This is going to be really complicated. However, he always has paperwork on his decks. I guess I can start there. As Naruto opened the medical file. Name, Akadishi. Hichigaki. Sex, male. Age, 36. Blood type group, B positive. Status, civilian. Occupation, construction worker. Detail, suffered acute myocardial infarction. Cardiac arrest on the 21st of October. Current status condition, stable. Symptoms, chest pain, palpitations, sweating. As Naruto closed the file, the further he read, the further he didn't understand. But he did know something though, even though the death note did not kill him. It surely messed him up. As he looked towards the man's passport photo on the top right side, as Naruto pulled out his brush and dipped it in ink, as he kept the man's photo clear in his mind and wrote his name down in the death note. Time skip. 2 days later, Hokage's office, 11 a.m. Hiruzen sighed as he looked over the worst thing to Hokage. In these times I really miss you, Minato, he thought to himself. This was all taken away from him, all the stress, all the chaos of paperwork. And he was pushed right back into it, he thought, as he sighed once more. Dark circles under his eyes as he took a puff off his pipe. The warm sun rays peeping through the window behind him though eased his stress at least a bit. Averting his gaze from the papers, he started to ponder on the recent things that caught his attention. One mainly on his mind right now. It really seems so strange for criminals to just die on the same day from heart attack at the same time. Yesterday as well, even though the numbers are less, criminals still die from heart attacks. Is this all a coincidence, he thought. Wham! His door was open. Hello, Gigi. As he looked up with a smile to see his hyperactive little blonde. You should not before coming in, Naruto-kun, Hiruzen said. But there was a smile still on his face. Oh, come on, Gramps, said Naruto. Stop being so stuck up. Chill out a bit, will ya, said Naruto. And what are you doing right now? Naruto blurred right through his words, making Hiruzen sigh. Naruto always kept things from getting too boring whenever he barged into his office, taking him away from this paperwork crap. Paperwork, you know. I was just arranging these criminal files. Being a Hokage is not all about being strong, you know. Naruto did not show any outward sign, but on the inside, he was shocked. He was beyond lucky. It seems like someone out there was making sure that things were set in the right place at the right time for him. So Naruto-kun, I see that you have again bumped the academy. What kind of devious pranks are you gonna pull this time? I'm hurt, Gigi, said Naruto. Why would you think I would ever do something like that? I just did not feel like going to the academy today. Today was a really off day, said Naruto. He really liked the Hokage, just because the old man could not prevent everything from making his life go to a living hell. He did try his best, but he was just one old man. He could not be everywhere at every time. It doesn't matter how many laws or how many guards that Hiruzen assigned. People always find a way to do things that was just... He snapped out of those thoughts. That was not the time for that right now. I see then. You're quite innocent, Hiruzen said, raising an eyebrow. So what is it this time? Do you want to go to Ichiraku's? You have a one-track mind, Gigi. All you think about is ramen, said Naruto, shaking his head. Hiruzen's pipe fell out of his mouth, clattering down on the table as he looked at Naruto, with a shocked look on his face as Naruto wanted to laugh, an amused look on his face. Oh, I also want to say thanks for the watch that you gave me on my birthday. As he held up his hand, showing off the watch, as he glanced at the time. About 10 more seconds, Naruto thought to himself. No need to say that, Naruto-kun, you deserve much more than that, Hiruzen said. He replied with some sadness in his eyes. Say, I want to talk about something important, Gigi, said Naruto. You see, someone came inside, interrupting the two. Sorry for the interruption, Hokage-sama, but Homura and Koharu-sama are requesting your presence in the meeting chamber as we speak. They say that it's urgent, the woman at the door said, looking towards the Hokage. Hiruzen sighed as he stood up somewhat lazily, a yawn escaping his lips. I'll be on my way then. You can resume your duties, Akio-san. His secretary Akio bowed and left the room. Hiruzen turned. I'm sorry, Naruto-kun, he said, but I got an urgent matter I have to attend to. As a 12-year-old Naruto scowled at that. But I wanted to talk with you. There's this really important matter I want to discuss with you, and it has to be today. It's really urgent, Gigi. Naruto said as he was performing very well, as he saw the conflicting look in Hiruzen's eyes. Alright, I assure you I will return as soon as possible. In the meantime, why don't you wait here for me? If anyone asks why you're here, just say, I order you to come here, Hiruzen said. Perfect, Naruto thought. He nodded to Hiruzen with a sigh, acting like he was upset about that. As Hiruzen made his way off, as Naruto glanced over, I don't sense any envoys, which means they must already be following him as his bodyguards. They're always by his side. The smile dropped from his face instantaneously, as his face became blank as he looked around. Let's give it a few minutes, Naruto thought to himself. He then heard the door click. Akio. It was a good thing that he waited. Now, said Naruto as he got up and moved towards the folders. There was a lot of them. As he found the criminal folder, there was a large record of criminals that were caught by the Konoha police within the span of the previous 6 years. The hell? They haven't been sentenced to death yet? 6 years and it is still pending. What the hell have you been doing, Gigi? He is way too lenient. Just look at this criminal, Mabashi Amirio, wanting to get rid of his child for unknown reasons. Murder his wife just because she loved her baby and refused to go through abortion. Despicable assholes like him don't deserve to live. He don't even deserve prison. Rapes, gang rapes, murder, slaves, killing for fun. All these low-life scum bastards, they deserve death, said Naruto, as his eyes flashed dangerously. And they call me a demon. And look at these things, Naruto thought, as he pulled a storage seal from his jacket, as he unsealed 5 pages from the Death Note that was neatly stacked on one another, as he picked up the column of the file and opened it. As Naruto made 3 rows on the Death Note papers, each row of the second column was filled with heart attack, meaning this column will be the cause of their death. The third column, however, specified the time of their death. In the 3 rows, they had 1 hour apart from one another. On the back of the pages, it was for the next day. The first row on the first one will be for October the 25th, 2 p.m. The second one will be for October the 25th, 3 p.m. The third one will be for October the 25th, 4 p.m. On the back of the first one, October the 26th, 2 p.m. The other one, October the 26th, 3 p.m. The other one, October the 26th, 4 p.m. As Naruto was making them spread out, he already had the specific dates that he wanted to happen, and he also had the time set out, so all he had to do now was memorize their faces and write their name down beside the time and specific death. The reason why he was doing this, putting different date and time, was because if people started to investigate, they would catch nothing on him, because by this time he would already be exiting the academy, and he would be out for all to see, and he wouldn't be anywhere to commit any murder. And besides, it was heart attacks. He just wanted to make sure that he was cautious, so no one would ever think that he was the one behind this. They already hated him. Let's not give them another reason to believe that he was a mass killer. As Naruto started to write the name down, looking at the photos. Roughly 1 hour later, Hiruzen arrived as he walked up the stairs. His idiotic teammates called him for trivial civilian matters. Well, not completely. They wanted to discuss about the heart attacks, but then they started to blabber about civilian matters which they had already discussed before. It's like they just came to chat with him. I guess those idiots really missed the old days, he thought to himself with a chuckle, as he entered inside to find Naruto sleeping on the couch, snoring and mumbling ramen words in his sleep. Hiruzen simply made his way and sat down. Sometimes this job really takes a toll on me, he thought. He then noticed something. The papers. Someone touched these, he thought, as he scanned the room on fully alert, looking towards a closed window. The fan was off, so there was no way these pages could have moved on their own. This was not how he exactly left them. His eyes had scanned over them to make sure. As he then glanced towards the sleeping boy, he knew that his assistant would not touch them until he was finished. As for Naruto on the other hand, as he checked the next pages when he noticed something, his eyes started to twitch. Naruto! Naruto jumped out of his sleep. Huh? What? He said, looking around. Explain, Hiruzen said, as he held up the papers. Oh, yeah, said Naruto, as the photos of the criminals were now edited. Some of them had eye patch, some of them had long beards, some of them had long glazing hair. Naruto had, well, they'd some little touch upon them. Well, I was bored. Bored? Bored, you say? When you get bored, you don't paint the faces of high-ranking criminals of the village, Naruto, Hiruzen said. It's your fault in the first place, said Naruto. You said that you would return as soon as possible. What was I supposed to do? Become the Hokage and smoke a cigarette? Naruto yelled at him, making the Hokage sweat drop at that. Still, Naruto, do you know how important this stuff is? Normally, I would have heavily punished someone if they did this, he said seriously, as he gazed towards Naruto, who started to sweat a bit. But since it's you, I'll let it slide. This time. Pranks are good once in a while, but this is not something for you to mess around with. Do you understand? Yeah. I'm sorry, Gigi, said Naruto. I just thought it would look cool, said Naruto. Hiruzen's sweat dropped as he sighed. It's alright, but just don't do it again. As Naruto nodded. Oh yeah, I remember. I gotta go, Gigi. Bye, I'll see you later, said Naruto. As he ran away. That damn brat, Hiruzen thought to himself. Oh, and I found your book in the second left bottom drawer. Naruto's voice called out. Hiruzen nearly had a heart attack as he looked down. Looking down towards his Ichi Paradise book, as Naruto draw all over the pages with him with an ink brush. Naruto! He screamed, his voice reverberating through Konoha. Moments later, forest behind the Hokage mansion. Naruto leaped from branch to branch. This went perfectly. I didn't know I could fool Gigi so easily, Naruto thought. Of course, him being the Hokage, and being one of the best ninjas in the village, would of course notice that the papers were tampered with. It doesn't matter if I tried to make them look perfect, he would notice. So I decided to play the idiot personality by writing all over them. So he would just suspect that I got bored and did some knucklehead crap. It was perfect, Naruto thought, as he was playing a lot on them thinking that he was an idiot. With me doing that and also writing over his precious book, there's not a chance in his mind that he would think that I am the one doing this, Naruto thought. As today, Naruto looked towards the clock. Smirking, he sped off even more. Arriving deep within the forest, Naruto sat down in a tree. As he pulled out the blank scroll and unsealed it, the pages of the death note coming out. As Naruto pulled out 3 pages, with names written on them. The first one was Homura, Kado, Koharu, and Akio, and the 2 guards that protect the Hokage entrance. Naruto smirked to himself. They play their part perfectly. The death note said, once he was away from his target 1.6 miles, they would not die. That is why he came all the way out here. That is why he had to leave. Pretending like he just remembered something. This was all his plan. From the moment he stepped into the office, he already had his plan set out. Of course he knew the elders. He wrote down their names, Homura, Koharu, and Akio, the assistant. That is why the door closed 5 minutes after Hiruzen left. It was Akio's sign alerting him that the envoys were not here, and that no one was coming. Because she was already under his control, doing what he wrote down. After experimenting yesterday, he found out when someone was under the death note, they would act normally. Example, if the person is to die 1 year after their name is written down, they will act normally until their time comes. It took 40 seconds for their name to be activated after it's written down. For Homura and Koharu written in the death note, they would leave their homes and reach the Hokage office at 11:05 a.m. They will then order Akio to tell the Hokage to meet them in the meeting hall and say that it was urgent for him to go. When the Hokage come to meet them, they will talk to him about the recent deaths and then civilian matters for 1 hour on the dot. After that, they would excuse themselves and return to their homes and behave normally. It's a rough explanation of what Naruto had written down. For Akio, she would sit down and behave normally until she received the orders from the 2 elders. Then exactly at 11:07 a.m. she would enter the office and tell the Hokage. At exactly 5 minutes later, when Hiruzen was good and gone, she would lock the door from the outside. Hiruzen's door was open when he came back because Akio came at 11:58 and opened the door, giving Naruto enough time to ruin the face on the Ichi Paradise series and the criminal faces after he was done writing down everything that he needed. As for the 2 guards, their only function was to let him in without any usual problem, because usually they didn't want to let him inside, always saying that the Hokage is busy, come again, this and that. But this time, they let him in, and they behaved normally about it. Since Naruto had taken these pages with their names on it, away from them 1.6 miles radius, they were now safe. Even if I take these pages back with me, they will still remain unaffected by it. It's a good thing I experimented some more yesterday before I decided to come to the office today. As Naruto had dug a small pit while he was talking to himself, As he crumbled the pages up, filling the pit with the used soil, Naruto patted several times before he got to his feet. As he placed the scroll back into his pocket, as he dusted himself off. Konoha prison is within the 1.6-mile radius, so they will die. He just need to place the pages near to them, so nothing will go wrong. Even if he was not there, they will still die. Now to start the show, he thought to himself, making his way. It was almost 2. The first deaths will begin very soon. Time skip 1 week later. Hey, have you heard about all these nasty criminals dying of heart attacks? Well, who hasn't? The whole of Konoha knows about this. It's been a week now and so many of them has died, all due to heart attacks. I heard that the times of their death are identical. 3 criminals die every day in the afternoon. I don't know what the exact time is though. You think this is a coincidence? I mean, heart attack is a natural cause. Hell no. This doesn't seem so natural. I mean, every day, 3 people in the afternoon? I say that this is some superhero or some kind, deciding to take vengeance and kill those monsters for all the crimes that they did. Hey, talking about monsters, do you think he will kill that boy as well? Well, I certainly hope so. Out of all the monsters, he is one of the greatest. The Konoha newspapers have even given the person a name. They call him Kira. This is getting really freaky. I mean, what if he decides to kill the innocent? This is some sort of god level power, giving people heart attacks. I don't think so. I think that Kira is a good boy, or a girl. For the whole week he has been doing nothing but killing criminals. I think that Kira kill 3 times a day the people that deserve it. Yeah, but there must be some limit to this power, right? I mean, he can't just be able to just kill anyone at any time. Well, I don't think so. Haven't you heard of the local thugs and gangs in the red light district being killed off as well? The prison isn't the only place where people are dying. I wonder if this is some forbidden technique or something. Must be. I've never heard of something like this before. These were the rumors and whispers that the public were generating around recently. There has been so much deaths. Kira, the name has spread through the hidden leaf like a wildfire. A lot of the civilians were happy after all. Those criminals deserve what they got. However, happiness will turn into worry soon enough. And it was already starting. Yes, this seemed like something good, but when you look at it, you realize that there is someone out there with limitless power that can kill anyone they want. What if they go mad? What then? But guys, be and subscribe right here. If you want the next part to do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification to stay posted. But I'm off for now. See you guys soon. Peace.